What's your writing process like? Do you have a team?
No, I do it all myself.
I write it for her. She's
My
like, what's this
ghostwriter over
nerdy
here."
white guy's take on this?
Lost my virginity at 18. We'll make a song.
Yeah, it'll be a banger.
Yeah, but it's usually like right now I'm kind of in a writer's block. I'm not gonna lie. I try to take an hour every day to kind of work on stuff. I'm in my head a lot because it's like I've done this is my second album, so it's like you kind of got to go through life in order to like write stuff and
Save
it be
up some stuff, yeah.
Like
Well, that's what they say. Like Malcolm Gladwell says, the writing is fun.
Yeah,
like that's actually the easy part.
Yeah,
it's you everything else you do in the day. That's where you're getting. That's the writing.
Your inspiration.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Stuff. Like and I'm happy right now. Usually when I'm upset and sad, that's when the best stuff comes out, right? So I'm in a good relationship now. I'm living. I'm happy. So it's hard.
Break up. Time
to end it.
So no, we need the next album. We need some diversity here.
No, and he knows that he better not hurt me because that'll be my next.
Then you're gonna win that fucking Grammy.
Yeah. But no, it's like it usually comes from a dark place. Is writing.
That's
and
great.
But that's like comedy too. Like the best stuff is sits in that. There's a lot of, I find, and Scott's heard me say this before, parallels between hip hop and stand up.
Yeah.
In the sense that I say like Tupac said, no, I'm gonna make this make sense. Tupac said like rap about women and money. And like that was the key that he told Biggie to get a hit. Yeah. And I always say with Scott, it's like it's the same for stand up, but it's lack of women, like being bad at dating, and lack of money, being broke.
It's like the opposite.
Exactly. What makes a good hip hop song, also the opposite makes a good stand up.
But it's true what you say, like the comedy comes from such a dark place.
Yeah, the best stuff. Same with like, exactly.
Yeah.
The best songwriting, Adele's first album didn't blow up till she had that heartbreak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you make art out of the shit.
Yeah.
Totally. Like that's why everybody gets jacked when they break up with their partner. It's just like you're in such a, I think like darkness breeds creativity for sure.
You got to use that fuel, right? You've got that energy that's like either going to be sad and angry about it, or you can kind of funnel it into something.
Yeah. And you want to be like, fuck you.
Yeah, you want to get revenge. There's nothing better. I have a friend who does the funniest thing where he runs paid Instagram ads on all his ex's houses.
Stop.
Of success stories about him. Like when he does well, he like pays to have it so that they just see. I'm like, that is the craziest and funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That is pretty sick.
Every time they open up their phone, you guys can steal it. It's just like, wow, he's doing great.
You got to, though. You got to get those Instagram ads. Like, and that's the fucked up thing about the industry. It's like you can make the best song in the world, or you can do the best stand-up in the world, and if you don't have money to advertise it, it's gonna go nowhere,
right? Or if nobody sees it, or even like with these algorithms, we've talked about it, like you'll have some video that gets 2 million views and it's not the video you worked hard on, it's not the one that you poured your heart in, it's like the one that you're like, should I post this piece of shit?
I know that's always the case,
and it's out of your control.
It's just like it's like the lottery, right? Like you're gonna win it or not.
And then the idea is that if you keep doing stuff, eventually when that thing goes, they look back and go, oh, wow, she's got this amazing body of work.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I just got to keep creating and not give up. And like, that's like 10 years. It takes 10 years.
Yeah.
10,000 hours, like to be successful at something. And it's really true. And I've really noticed that lately too, where you see all these actors back in the day or singers and stuff, and they're doing projects and it's just like a little part, right? You're like, wow, that was like 10, 15 years ago. And now to see them now.
That it takes that long. Exactly. Like, I don't know. When did you first start rapping or getting into music or have an interest?
I mean, 2017, I would say that year was when the spark started. And I wish that I had the confidence to start earlier, but it was definitely a confidence thing where I'm like, no one's going to care, and then TikTok started and like all these things. And it's like social media just makes people want to create and do it. So I was just like, I might as well
put it out there.
And
it's scary. Like you're failing in public or succeeding in public. Yeah. Like it's a vulnerability every time you post something to be like, hey, is that like, I find something I was unexpected with this show. It'll get lots of nice comments and then one mean comment and I'm like,
and you think about it.
Oh God, those ones you're like, they're right. I saw somebody write, we should almost just read them on the show, but they were like, do they sell podcast equipment on like 50% off Black Friday sales? And I was like, ooh,
burn.
Yeah, and it's funny just how that is. And when you're putting music out there, like I'm sure it's like
Oh,
you're like it's
yeah.
the same way where you're like, hey, I'm putting this out there.
Can you explain
It's-
that burn to me?
I think they're implying that we got a discount on these. The only reason we have a show, and that we shouldn't. Yeah.
I mean, the comments, yeah, like in the beginning of my career, like I would read the comments and yeah, they would get to me, but like now I try not to read them. And you know that like those people that are saying those things like are really mad at themselves
Right.
and really hate themselves. And that's why they're projecting that energy onto you. And it fuels me. Like there's some really funny ones.
There are like, you got it, and some of them are actually
And I'm
really
just
funny.
like, shit. Like, that's
Yeah, I feel like the negative ones are the ones you want because they're like children, right? Whenever children make fun of you, there's a hint of like some real deep-seated stuff. Whenever it hurts you, right? So the negative comments, you can, okay, well, there's something there.
Yeah.
Maybe
Right, you take a little bit from it
Yeah.
and either let it fuel you or kind of be like, yeah, fuck, maybe they're right.
Yeah, there was a 50% discount at Best Buy for all of you.
Yeah, we got a great deal on these.
But yeah, no, like it's the comments. The comments are interesting.
Oh, comments, yeah. That was something I wasn't expecting with like putting more comedy out there and stuff
Yeah.
to like affect me as much as they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, like you're making art, you're making music, and
Yeah.
this person is making a you suck.
Yeah, and like
Like-
a lot of the comments, like the hate comments, are the same thing. Like oh, like they'll call me fat and shit, and like say things like I'm old. Like it's always the same kind of comment. It's the ones that are like witty and smart that you're like, yeah.
Yeah, the witty ones. Like I saw one recently. Someone was like a room full of betas, and I was like, that is pretty good, and not wrong.
But that's why like the Jimmy Fallon like mean comments
Yeah.
thing is so funny. It's so
Or
funny.
mean tweets, yeah.
Yeah, mean
Yeah,
tweets.
I mean, it's so good.
But if you're not getting haters, you're obviously not doing something right because someone's sitting there being jealous about. what
Someone's
you're
always
doing.
gonna hate your thing. So if you're not getting haters, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You're not putting anything out there. You're not taking risk.
Yeah.
Do you think if you had told yourself in 2017, like, hey, this is gonna take longer than you thought, like, would that be? I know for me, I started professionally acting at 19.
Yeah.
And like I thought I was gonna be Timothy Chalamet. I thought I was like a year from now, cover of
Yeah.
17 magazine,
Straight out of Vernon.
straight out of Vernon.
The world
That should
has
be
to
the-
know about this guy.
That's my rap album, straight out of Vernon.
That's sick. Actually,
Sells 3 copies.
No, that's sick. But that's the thing, right? Like it's like you gotta remember those 3 people that bought that album, they're fans.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me to continue. And like even with these Spotify rap things, you see them and you're like, oh, like someone's doing better than me, and it gets in your head
Yeah.
as an artist and stuff. That's why I don't support it, because it's just like, who gives a fuck about your numbers? It should be making you happy. And do you know who Jelly Roll is?
Yeah.
He just won a Grammy for or something, some sort of award. And in his speech, he's just like, I don't know, you got to pull the speech up, but it was like, he's 38 and that was his first big award, and he's been doing this for so long, and it's just like, you just got to keep going, and if you keep going, you'll eventually get to where you want to go.
Well, there's no cap on it, is it? There's no real, like, you don't have to stop at a certain age. If it's fulfilling you, you just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
1000%. There's a million stories. Morgan Freeman didn't really book till he was 50. Like, and had he quit,
Became a great rapper. I said.
really good rapper.
But that's
He's got
the
some
thing, you
heart.
just can't quit, and that's why people aren't successful at this, because they sit there and they're like, I'm not getting the success that I expected I was going to get by this time, so they quit, and then you'll never know, right? But if you continue to like put in that little bit of work, you'll get there.
Yeah, and live with the fact that it's like, hey, I would rather just be still making this, still putting this stuff out
Yeah.
here, even if it's 3 fans,
Yeah.
versus quitting
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's still a chance for you to become Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, Timmy, if you're watching, I'm coming for you, baby.
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka
sequel.
2, the straight to DVD release has me in it.
Coming straight out of Vernon.